So we're looking at the cardboard shed that I showed at the end of my last video, and I said that I was going to go ahead and make the real one out of that hardboard material, as I call it, and I went ahead and did that today. And I'll just push this aside, and here we are. Got it glued together and pretty much ready for paint at this point, but you can see looks pretty good. I'm just gonna grab a truck real quick here, back it in. You can see how that looks. Plenty of clearance. It's caught on the floor there. But yeah, speaking of the floor, move that aside, move the shed aside. Went ahead and cut out a piece of this roofing felt, and this will be glued into this area here with hot glue, and that'll be the floor for this shed. And we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, got the glue gun warmed up, and I'm just going to take this piece of roofing felt and put some glue down on it. Make sure to get the edges. Try not to burn myself at the same time. I don't know if you can see the steam coming off. This glue gun gets pretty hot. It's actually pretty nice, gives you quite a bit of time to get things set. And I do have marks on the table where this needs to go. Just need to get it lined up. And put it in place. Just went ahead and marked where the drives are going to go. And coming off the road here, you got one drive, comes back in here, around where this tanker truck sits, then goes around here, and this area in here will be grass. Drive goes along the building, comes out to the front here, and over here where these two trucks are parked, and this is marked out here where that'll end. This area where the dozer sits will be grass. Then I figured I'd go ahead and put just some gravel going around the building to the back, and then over to here. And I guess that's mainly just to, I'll add to the look of, you know, the foundation from when they put the building in there. But as for everything else, like this area here, up around here, the embankment, all that's going to be grass. So I think I am ready to start putting down more turf. So just like before, I'm going to put a layer of glue down and sprinkle the fine turf on top of it. And then I'll also come back afterwards and do where the gravel's supposed to go. But I'm going to go ahead and do a time lapse here because just like the last time I did this, it's going to take quite a while. I just cut the camera there for a minute because I remembered I wanted to mask off this road up here. It makes it a little easier to brush the glue on. So that's the turf down on that embankment, and I'll have to wait for the glue to dry before I can sweep the excess off. But in the meantime, I'm going to start putting turf down here between the road and the track, all the way down to the front of the table here. And I haven't really decided what I'm doing with this pasture yet, but I may end up just putting turf down here too. Depends. So when I come back, should have all the turf down here and be ready to move on to putting gravel down right here and maybe even on the road. All the excess turf's been swept off, and now I'm going to go back and lock everything down with this glue water mixture that I use. And as I said before, this is a 50-50 mix of glue and water. So just going to go ahead and spray it on here. Something that recently occurred to me is that I can't put the gravel down on this road yet because I haven't done this crossing here yet. And to do that, I'm first going to start out by taking this piece of wood here. This is the same material I used for that shed that I just built. And I'm going to lay it in here between the rails, get a measurement of the size I need, cut it to length, and then I'm going to go back and scribe like boards into the material, and then that'll give it the look of like an older crossing, not like your modern day ones that you might find in like a city or what have you. Another thing I'm going to have to do is maybe using the same material, I got to make sort of like ramps which will go up and over the tracks on the outsides here. And those I'll be graveling over, but I'm going to leave the boards themselves for this area alone. So there's the boards for the crossing just laid in place right now. I'll glue them after I get them painted. But you can see I got two on the outside of the rails and one big one on the inside, which I scored a couple times to make it look like individual boards. And I'll probably go back and score these couple more times in a few different places, because as it stands right now, these are pushing at least 20 feet, if not more, in real life, which isn't really accurate. But I like the way that looks. I know some are probably going to complain to me that the flangeway gap in the crossing here is too wide, but I did that on purpose because a lot of the stock I have is American Flyer, and I only have a couple pieces of American Models track. And the problem with the American Flyer is the flangeway gap needs to be large, because as you can see right there, even just being that wide, it interferes with the wheels. So kind of got to sacrifice accuracy to make it compatible with the trains. I'd say the American Models rolling stock would be fine, and probably the American Flyer locomotives would do okay, but the rolling stock's a different story. But the next step's going to be to build sort of a little bit of elevation leading up to here. Got some ramps made to get up over the track, and I cut them out of this material right here. I'm not exactly sure what it is, just found it laying around the shop, but one thing I do know is that it splinters very easily, which I don't care for. But yeah, just cut the pieces out, and I used a Dremel to cut this down to the wedge shape, and it's not perfect, it's a little bit rough, but by the time I get the gravel over top of it, you won't even be able to notice. And I did go ahead and do some testing, see how this worked, and I mean, I got a truck here, you can see, just run that over the crossing. It has no problems negotiating it. And even cars, you know, these will sit lower and still no problems getting over. And when I put the gravel in, it will raise things up a little bit. The only problem I've been having is with these bigger trucks. You'll see here the truck itself goes over with no problems, but the landing gear on the trailer catches right there. But I mean, other than that, the rest of the truck goes over without any problems. So overall, I'm happy with that, and probably go ahead and get everything here painted, and then I can secure everything down, but that'll have to wait till the next time.